Welcome everyone to Child 210, Child Development at BYU Idaho in the online courses. My name is Sister Casey Wilcox. I'll be your instructor for this semester for winter 2016. This video lecture will serve a few purposes. One, to introduce you to myself as well as the course and understand the policies and guidelines that I have, as well as an overview of iLearn and how the course is organized on iLearn, especially if this is perhaps one of your first online courses. That will be really helpful to have. A little bit about me. As I said, I'm Sister Wilcox. I'm your instructor for this semester, and I live outside Houston, Texas, about an hour south along the coast. I've lived here for 3 years now. My husband works as a chemical engineer at a company here in town, and so that's what made us move from Utah. I grew up in Wisconsin my whole life. I joined the church there when I was 18, and then I left shortly after for school in Utah. My husband and I have been married for just over 5 years, and we have, as you can see in the picture, we have a 2-year-old little girl, and then we're expecting our first boy sometime in the month of January, towards the end of the month probably. So we are enjoying the last few weeks of having an only child. As far as my education, I graduated from BYU in Provo, Utah with my undergrad in recreation, and then I moved on to do my master's at the University of Southern Mississippi, and I received my master's in child and family studies. With my education, I have some experience with children, let alone as a parent, but I also served as a camp director for a YMCA camp for several years with children from 5 to 13. We served about 3,000 children a year, and it was fairly typical development. We weren't a camp for children with special needs or anything. And then I also worked in Utah at a residential treatment center for children. And so there I got to see a little bit more of the atypical development, worked specifically with children with behavioral disorders and behavioral problems who were residing at the center for extreme therapy, in-depth therapy. A little bit about the course. I'm not going to read all this. I don't want you to read all of it. It's just there. It's from the syllabus, from the course syllabus. And it goes over what we're going to learn this semester. The main thing I want to focus on is that we will be looking at the physical, cognitive, and psychosocial development of each age range of children, starting from prenatal, so pregnancy, all the way through the end of adolescence. So for example, the physical development in adolescence would pertain to puberty, the start of puberty and then as it progresses through the rest of adolescence. The cognitive side of it would be how those adolescents' brains are working. Why do adolescents take more risks? What causes that? And there's actually something in the brain that causes that behavior. And then lastly, we'll look at the psychosocial. So how all of these things affect their social life and understanding why they act the way they do. And so we'll look at types and patterns of typical development of what we should expect, and then also some warning signs of what should put up a red flag for us as far as development goes. Perhaps especially with infants, if they're not staying up by this stage, by this point in their development, by 12 months, then you should be concerned, and things like that. So there's a lot more that we'll be doing. We'll read through the syllabus at a later point, but this course is great. It's so applicable to our lives as parents, as family members, as church members, and it's going to be great. The course is organized a little uniquely, a little bit differently than other courses that maybe you've taken, either in person or online. So for example, when typical courses run from Monday through Saturday. So the unit opens on Monday and all the assignments are due Saturday, for example. That's a typical online course. This course is organized into units instead of weeks. So each unit is 2.5 weeks long. So it starts on a Monday, it's due 2.5 weeks later. Then when that unit is due, you go another 2.5 weeks later. So the point of all of this is you can't procrastinate. You have 2.5 weeks, which sounds like a great time, but if you wait until the night before to start all your assignments, you're going to be regretting it. There is a course schedule provided on iLearn. It's also, here's the PDF of it, the exact same version that's on iLearn, and I'll show you how to get there in just a minute. I'll do an iLearn video lecture after this PowerPoint presentation. So here's the course schedule. It tells you the due date and every assignment that's due on that due date. Then it goes into the next unit. Same thing, the due date and all the assignments that are due. So my recommendation for this is you need to write down your due dates and know them. And understand that it's a big due date. There's a lot of assignments done, so don't procrastinate. Very quickly, every unit has the same 5 assignments. And you may have noticed that on that course schedule, it was the same ones listed. So first you have reading quizzes. There's a quiz on each chapter in that unit. Some units are 4 chapters, other units are 3. So you take an online reading quiz for each of those. You can retake it up to 3 times, but the questions will change each time you take it. So it's not like you can memorize the answers and then increase your score. You still have to know your stuff. The second assignment is Dear Abby letters. These are, if you remember in the newspapers when there was a Dear Abby section, these are letters that are written in a format of a Dear Abby that then you as a professional in child development or very educated in child development respond to. And it turns out to probably be about a 6 to 8 page document when you're all done writing all these responses. So that's what the Dear Abby letters are. They're for each unit. The third one is a reflective journal assignment. These range from like 18 to 25 questions, and they make you obviously reflect on the course material, to apply the course material, to show me that you understand what you're reading and what you're learning. This turns probably to be about a 4-page assignment. Typically, that's a ballpark. If you're a lengthy writer, it might be longer. Then the fourth assignment is a collaborative quest. This is a fancy term for a discussion board. Each unit has a discussion board. Some units you will be combined as all 45 students in one discussion board. Other units you will be divided up into smaller groups depending on the context of the discussion board. Then the last assignment is observations and development. And this assignment is where you will watch videos that are posted on iLearn and observe the development, as it says, in the children and identify different developmental stages and things like that. Again, this assignment goes with the idea that if you can read the textbook and memorize all the information, that's great. That's one thing. But unless you can actually identify the development in actual children, this knowledge won't do you any good. So these same 5 assignments run consistently through each unit. So there's no surprises, I hope. Some helpful hints from past students, from past courses. As I've said earlier, don't procrastinate. That's probably the biggest one, is it looks like you have a super long time to get all these assignments done. And then when you open the first page and realize you have a lot to do, it's overwhelming. So I would make a game plan of what you're going to get done by a certain point. Read the instructions for all the assignments now. One great thing about an online course is everything is on iLearn already. You can go through the class and look at everything right now. So read the directions on the assignments. On the Dear Abby letters, there is a minimum word requirement that's required, and I'm not flexible with that. I hold you accountable for making that word requirement. How to complete assignments efficiently. I've had some students who have said that when they started this course, what they did is they read from page 1 of chapter 1 to the end of chapter 4, which is the first unit. They read all of it, and then they go back and start the assignments. And while that's great, while I encourage you to read the textbook, obviously, that's not the most efficient way of your time. And so when I do the iLearn tutorial video, I'll sort of show you how it works, but instead, I would recommend using the reflective journal questions as a way to sort of work your way through with the text. So for example, reflective journal questions 1 through 3 will probably pertain to pages 1 through 15. So it will tell you, read pages 1 through 15 and then answer these questions. And so go do that, and then move on to the next set of questions. And through all of that, you will theoretically read most of the chapters, but you will also be able to answer the Dear Abby letters and have the knowledge to do the other parts of the assignments. And so I would encourage you to look at that. The first unit is always a little bit of a learning curve, and then we'll work the kinks out. Ask questions early and often. Please email me. I do not stay up till midnight on the due date to answer questions. I don't. I'm sorry. I value my sleep too much. So ask them early and ask them often. If I respond to you and it's still not clear, tell me that, and I can come up with a different way of making sure that you're aware of it. The next recommendation I have is to be an active participant in the discussion boards. What I hate to see is you post, you make your initial response, and then you wait until an hour before the due date to make your additional responses. That does two things. One, you don't get to learn as much because you're not there checking your own, any responses to your post or fellow students' responses. And two, you're inhibiting others from discussing the topic. And so make sure that you are an active participant. You get as much out of that as you put in. This takes the place of an in-person or an on-campus class where teachers and professors can lead discussions in class. So this takes the place of that. So as I said, as much as you put into it, that's how much you get out. Also, I do host office hours. I encourage you to use them. It's about 1 hour a week. If you can't attend them at the time I offer them, just email me and we can arrange another time. What's great about the office hours is it's a virtual meeting website, Adobe Connect, where I can hook up my webcam, I can hook up my screen, so I can share my screen with you if you're having a problem finding something or understanding something. And it's a great way to, email is great too, but sometimes things just need to be done face to face, so to speak. I do have a schedule posted. It is on iLearn, which I'll go over in a little bit, but here it is. It's typically Tuesday nights. Due to a church responsibility, I have to move it 1 week a month to Thursday. I will send out emails every week with when my office hours is as a reminder, but you can put these on your schedule. If something changes, of course, I'll let you know. It's always at the same time, Mountain Standard Time, so be aware of that. And there's a link. I'll show you where the link is on iLearn. All right, I have a few class policies. The first one is late work. I accept late work, up to 5 days late. So if it's due on a Saturday, I will accept late work through Thursday night of the following week. However, each day that you turn it in late, 10% is deducted from your score. I encourage you to still turn in late work because 50% of points is better than 0. And a lot of times when the final grades are due, if students had at least submitted something and gotten half the points, that would have been better than 0 and their grade would have improved. So I do accept late work up to 5 days late, but understand the points will be deducted. Associated with late work, I do have a forgiveness policy. So I understand life is crazy. Kids are sick, your roommate, the car is having problems, and you have to take it in, you have a family emergency, life happens. For each student, I grant one forgiveness deadline, meaning that once each semester, you can email me or contact me before the due date saying, my life is crazy right now. I don't even need an excuse. I mean, if you want to tell me about it, great, but if not, that's okay too. Saying, I need an extension. And I will grant it one time per student per semester. This is a 5-day extension with no penalty, no deduction, but you need to contact me before the due date. You turn stuff in 5 days late and then say, oh, I can use my forgiveness thing. No, I'm going to deduct 50% of your points. It has to be before the due date. even if it's like an hour before. That's okay with me. Here's the next video. Sorry for the delay here. The last policy I have, backing up one step. The next policy is grading and feedback. So I have, as an instructor at BYU Idaho, I am required to grade all assignments within 7 days. That's the reason why I will only accept late work up to 5, because I need a day or two to finish grading and submit feedback. I submit feedback, and I trust that you read it. I will show you on iLearn where you can access that. But if I say something in an assignment that you miss points because of such and such, I hope that on future assignments you fix that problem. Otherwise, I will continue to dock points each time. I have no bad feeling about that. You need to understand, you need to read the feedback and go through that and understand where you can improve your assignments for next time. Connected with feedback is proofreading. This is a college course, and I expect college writing. I am not an English teacher. I'm not a grammar teacher. I don't know all the time where exactly the comma goes, but I do know how to spell check my assignments. I do know where a period goes. I do know that the first letter of a sentence is capitalized, and you may laugh, but in previous courses I have dealt with problems like that. So my policy is if there is more than 3 spelling or grammar errors in your assignment, I will deduct points. Now, as I said, I'm not a Nazi police on grammar. I'm not going to pick through it with a fine-tooth comb. But if it's hard for me to understand the sentence because there's misspelled words or because there's no periods and it's just a complete run-on sentence, and that comes up several times throughout your assignment, I will deduct points. And I will give you that feedback so that you can improve on it. What I find sad but funny is when I pull up some students' assignments into a Word document to grade them, my Word document will go through and spell check, and there'll be little red squiggly lines all over the place. So at least take the time to run spell check. That's what Word document, Microsoft Word has for us, and use it. If you have questions about that or are concerned about it, let me know if you really struggle with that. But please just proofread. That's all I ask. The next element of this course that you don't have to worry about being graded on or memorizing, but it's something that I do, is applying the course material. I am all for reading the textbook. I'm all for students learning the actual parts of development and learning the theories and learning all of that. However, if you don't apply the course material into your own life, into areas of your own life, it doesn't do you any good. That's great that you memorized all these theories and all these facts of when an infant should sit up or the stages of puberty and things like that. But if you can't apply it to your life, you're not going to remember it. You're not going to take that knowledge into your life. And so each unit I will go over 5 areas that the course applies. The first one is the gospel. I love BYU schools. I love church schools for that purpose, that we can take a gospel perspective on classes, even in the science fields, even in quantum physics, there's some application to the gospel. As a student, for my master's, I did not complete at a church school, and it was a void that I felt throughout the 2 years that I wish I could share as it pertained to the course, share things about the gospel, but I could not because of the university I was at. Obviously, with child development and the gospel, we believe in families. Obviously, we believe that we are here to create families and to be a part of families. That family is the true joy and happiness of our life. And so throughout this course, I hope that you will learn what a blessing and privilege it is to be a part of families and to watch them develop. The second area that I will look to apply the course material is as a parent, either now or future, or also as a family member in case you don't have children at this time. You still have cousins and nieces and nephews and people like that. Obviously, this course will be very applicable to that as you are raising your own children or helping raise your relatives. The third area is the professional world. Many of you are pursuing careers such as education, therapy, even some science fields, genetic testing, genetic counseling, where you will need to understand the development of a child. The fourth area is in a church calling. Hopefully many of you have church callings. And whether you work with primary, young men, young women, if you're a visiting teacher or someone that has kids, if you're a home teacher or someone with kids, you're working with kids. Even if it's just going to sacrament and being surrounded by kids, if you're in a family ward. In a church calling, this material, as far as child development, will be helpful to you. The last area is as a community member. Each of you play an active role in creating a positive environment for children. Think about your own childhood and how your neighbors and your school teachers and your friends' parents, all of those community members played a part in your development. For me, it was my neighbor who called the police on us for playing too late at night, but it was also the neighbor that let us play in her backyard, in her treehouse. Everyone in my community had an influence on my development, for good and bad. So we'll talk about how you can have, how you as a community member can influence child development. Each video lecture, I will end with a spiritual thought. When I first read the Book of Mormon several years ago, my favorite story is in 3rd Nephi, and it's when Jesus Christ tells the multitude to behold your little ones. And as the picture shows on this slide, that's exactly what I imagine Jesus Christ doing, is getting on his hands, on his knees, with the children surrounding him. And with that, in Psalms, there's a verse that says, "Children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is His reward." And what I love about this verse is we live in a society where having children is looked down upon by some, perhaps procrastinated because of worldly goals, and I value those choices. We each have the freedom to choose what we want. But what this verse tells me is that children are a reward. I look at my child, and as much work as it is, she is an absolute blessing, and it is a privilege to raise her in the gospel. It is a privilege that Heavenly Father has given us, and I encourage you to look at children as a privilege and as a blessing rather than a burden that perhaps our society has started to do. Last but not least, my contact information. Here's my email address. It's provided on iLearn. It's all over the place, but here it is, as well as my phone number. I will tell you, email is always faster for me. I can check my email and respond a little bit better than I can on the phone, especially because if you call me, there might be a screaming toddler in the background. So typically I won't answer, and you'll leave a message, and I'll call you back as soon as I have a quiet moment. But email is typically faster still. I do need to put out a reminder or an announcement. As I mentioned earlier, we're welcoming a little boy this month, so I will be at the hospital for hopefully 2 days, hopefully not longer, but I will send an email out as soon as I can once I'm admitted and everything, or have my husband do it, letting you know that my communication may be delayed. So during that time, once that email is sent out, if you have an emergency, please call me, and you'll still have to leave a message, but I'll probably be able to get back to you faster at that point. And then I'll email you once I'm home and able to respond to emails again. But just be aware of that. Sometime in the month of January, hopefully, that will be happening, and it may just cause a slight delay. So we are going to move into a tutorial on iLearn now. I'm going to go over a whole bunch of stuff on iLearn and sharing my screen so you can see where everything's located and understand it a little bit better. So let me pause this and let me get over to iLearn, and then we'll pick up right there. All right. So this is iLearn. Hopefully you've been able to log on, you have access to the course already, but this will just be a brief tutorial of where to find things, where things are located, and I encourage you to spend some time exploring it as well. When you log in under instructor profile, here's my lovely picture, some information about me. Here is the link for virtual office hours. And so you will need to go to that link and sign in, and then you will access my office hours. Again, there's the schedule that I shared, and I'll show you where it is in here as well. Here's my email address and my phone number to contact me at again. Then there's notes from instructor. These notes from instructor pages, combined with these video lectures and any slideshows that I post, take the place of in-person lectures. So they're really important to read through. There's a lot of valuable information in these notes, and you need to understand them and read through them. It's where I'll post helpful hints, feedback from previous units, things like that. So please read through them. This one it looks a little bit different than the other ones will, and I'll show you a real notes from instructor page. Under course, you will find the course syllabus. It lists the textbook that is required for this course. You need the textbook. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You will need it. There is an online ebook that you can purchase as well. It doesn't matter to me which one you use. So here are all the requirements of the course. Here's a rundown, a little bit more of each assignment. I encourage you to read it as far as how many points each are, things like that. And then also the percentages for grading final grades at the end of the semester. Here's the course schedule that I shared earlier. It's available right here as well, and it's the same document with the due dates in red, as well as the final exam due date. And then it also lists each of the assignments that are due. Here's my office hour schedule. Again, I will email reminders out throughout the semester, but pay attention to that. Then there's also just the university policies, the honor code, things like that. And then any more references. This is all through the university that they add to my course. So you can look through that on your own time. So I'm going to close these windows. Then you click on Introduction. There's an orientation to online learning. There's a video that pops up. There it is. That I encourage you to watch. It's just 3 minutes. And it goes into a little bit more detail about online courses, what the requirements are, things like that. Again, this comes from the university as their document and their video. Then there's notes from instructor page, and this is what a real one looks like. So every notes from instructor page will have a to-do list. Typically that involves all the assignments. But here it's complete the pre-test for the course, read through all the documents, understand them, email me with questions, and then watch, of course, this lecture podcast for more information. And the link is provided. It's not here right now, but I add it when I add the video to YouTube. It will give you the due date for assignments, some helpful hints, the class policies. These will be on every notes from instructor page so that you don't forget. And then the application, of course, material. And I encourage you to read through these. And then a spiritual thought. What's great about this is it's also a discussion board. So if you have questions, you can click on New Thread and go down here. It will pop up and you can write a question to me and post it if you have a question regarding this unit, and I can answer it for all students to see. If it's an individual personal question, just send me an email. But if it's a question that you think all students would benefit from, then go ahead and ask it here. And then, of course, check back for my response. Once again, under the introduction, these documents are provided again, the course overview, the course schedule, the course syllabus. They're all there for you to look at. Then here's the pre-test that you can take. It's not graded. It's basically for me to show where you are now. So I understand what areas of development we may need to focus more on. And it's also a good pre-test, post-test with the final exam to see how much learning has happened. So then after this introduction folder starts the 5 units. You'll notice unit 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the introduction week is the first week of the semester. So it runs from January 6th through, well, January 4th through the 9th, because online classes start technically on the 4th. Then starting Monday, January 11th through Wednesday, January 27th, which is 2.5 weeks, you're in Unit 1. Okay. However, this material is available to you before January 11th. It's available obviously to you. Alright, this portion of the video will finish the iLearn tutorial. So here are notes from instructor for Unit 1. And there'll be a link to the video podcast when I make it, obviously, as well as a simple little quiz. Did you watch it? That's all you have to do. Just be honest. You watched it, you didn't watch it. I would encourage you to watch it because there's a lot of information that you'll need. Then it goes through the other assignments that are due. In red are the due dates, so you shouldn't miss them. And then again, there'll be helpful hints about this unit that pertain directly to the unit. For example, in Unit 1, we talk about genetics. It's a little tricky, I'll admit, even for myself. Like, I'm not a geneticist, I'm not a scientist, so I give you some information about what you can look at. And so obviously these will go, each unit will have these pages. So it'll give you a lot of information. As you can see here, then each chapter and each unit has a folder. And here's what I mean when I say the best way to go through the course efficiently. So you'll see that there's an introduction with everything that's due. Then there's learning objectives, and then there's a fact or fiction. This is not graded. It's just for you to do. Then you'll click on this introduction, and it will say, read these pages, answer this journal question. Now, mind you, these journal questions are listed here, but where you should respond to them is you go down to this Unit 1 reflective journal, and you can upload the document and fill it out in a journal entry format. So don't worry about copying and pasting all these journal questions. So that's one way to move through the assignment. Then when you finish that, you come to the next part. Use the journal that you downloaded to answer this. Read these pages. Answer this question. And you keep going through. Now at the end of each, and sometimes I should mention, I should stop here. I mentioned there's going to be reading pages and then a video or a news article or something more to read, and you need to use that to answer the journal entry. So it's not just the textbook, there's going to be additional things. Then once you get to the end of that chapter, there'll be a reading quiz that you take. Again, you have a time limit of 20 minutes, as it says right here, and you can take 3 attempts. You can repeat it up to 3 times. The highest score will be taken. So you move through that through all, in this example, all 4 chapters. Here is where the collaborative quest is. For the first unit, it's an introduction. So you post an introduction about yourself along with a picture. To post, you click on New Thread. Everyone's combined in this unit. You must make your initial post by the end of the first week of each unit. This is mandatory. I will deduct points if you don't. That is why when you see the notes from instructor page in red, bold, initial discussion board post is due January 18th. All assignments are due January 27th. So it's right there in red. In an email, announcements, I'll send reminders. In addition to your initial post, you are required to make 2 additional responses to 2 other students with substantive information about their posts. More than, nice to meet you, for example, for this unit. Make a connection with them, ask them questions, get to know them better. This is your chance. Then here's the Dear Abby letters. You can do it in a PDF file if you want. Otherwise, there's the Word document that you can go in and type directly on. Your written responses should be a minimum of 2,200 words. There's no maximum. And this is for the entire assignment, not per response, because there's 9 responses total. It's for the whole collective document. Here's the observations and development. You open up the study guide. It gives you directions about watching the clips and what questions to answer. And then again, here's the reflective journal. So as you can see, this is the same as we open Unit 2 on this left column here. It's the same for all the units. Let me pick up 5 and 6 here so it's not too much. And let me close Unit 1 so you can see. So Unit 2, notes from instructor, which will be added. the 3 chapters that we go over and all the assignments. So it's organized the same way, unit after unit. So if you have questions about iLearn, if you need more details about it, let me go in to, I don't think I can show you in this. So the feedback, I don't think I can show you where you receive your feedback. When you see graded material, there will be a teacher document that I will upload, typically in a PDF file that I have handwritten my comments on. If also, I will sometimes put feedback in like the comments box in the graded assignment, so you can access that as feedback. If you have any more questions about iLearn, there's tutorials available for you, but you can also ask me, and I'll be more than willing to help you out and work through the problem with you. Again, my contact information is provided right here, as well as in previous the earlier part of this video. So please use it and email me and ask me any questions. Good luck, everyone!